The Essequibo River. Huge, untamed, and unexplored. 1,000 kilometers of treacherous rapids, huge waterfalls, and wild animals. Only the strongest survive in these waters. Yet it's a wildlife paradise. People crowd the busy delta, a melting pot of races and cultures for centuries. And further inland lies the wild south, where indigenous people still live on the Essequibo's banks. Now, filmmakers Marion Perlman, Raina Bergomas and young Sandy are on a mission to discover the mysterious source of the mighty Essequibo. The islands of the Essequibo Delta, the Atlantic coast and its mangrove forests with their incredible diversity of life were the expedition team's first stops. Leaving the coastal dramas behind, they turned towards a natural wonder of the gigantic Essequibo River system, Kaieteur Falls. Now the crew is ready to push on, further into the heart of the country and further upriver towards their final destination, the Essequibo's source. Just a single route leads into Guyana's deep south. They're heading towards Surama, an Indian village and Young's home. It means 8 hours drive on a rough dirt road to cover the 400-kilometer distance. On terrain like this, it's imperative to check the four-wheel drive regularly. Because out here, they're on their own. Breaking down in such remote country could spell disaster. It pays to be extra cautious. About halfway to their destination, they hit the Essequibo. The only way forward is to go by ferry. A tiny boat that hasn't changed in decades and remains the only way to cross the mighty river with a vehicle. Just a few meters above the ferry crossing, the Essequibo is blocked. There's no getting through this part of the river by boat. It's a no-go zone. Since the road was built, the car has become the transport of choice in these parts, even if it does come with challenges. Their route takes them through the Rupununi Savannah, extensive grasslands dotted with bushes and trees. It's vast, remote, and changeable. During the rainy season, large swathes of grassland turn into swampland. And at the start of the dry season, bushfires eat their way through the plains, kept in check only by the soggy, unstable ground. They're set by the locals in order to clear fields or chase venomous and dangerous wildlife away from their homes. They have an added benefit for travelers. Where there's no clear way through the savannah, the burnt earth marks solid, safe ground to travel on. Elsewhere, even the four-wheel drive risks getting stuck in the mud. The wet is a magnet for wildlife. A group of jabirus majestically stride through the flooded grassland. Standing over a meter tall, their beaks alone reach around 30 centimeters. The Rupununi savanna is one of the largest wetlands in South America, an ideal place for jabirus to bring up their young. The male builds the nest and takes the initiative. The team has almost reached the day's destination, Surama. Cattle are a sure sign that the village is nearby. They're a valuable source of protein for the villagers. Surama is a typical indigenous village. The houses are scattered across a large area. Often next-door neighbors are hundreds of meters apart. The houses are still built in the traditional way. In fact, keeping traditions alive is highly valued. The women put on their finest for a village dance. They've made the intricate clothes themselves following ancient patterns. Faces and arms are painted with red color. Red was once considered a protection against evil spirits. And a dance like this includes even the smallest members of the community from the very beginning. Many of the old songs deal with everyday life and the skills needed to survive in the wild. Weaving is a craft that's particularly valued. A cup of parakari, a lightly alcoholic drink made by fermenting cassava root, makes the rounds. The dancing now comes more easily. The mood is light and cheerful, reflected in the upbeat dance and music. The children snack on farine, another cassava-based food. Its versatility has made it one of the staples here. It seems there are no bounds to the villagers' enthusiasm for song and dance. And in the end, the crew themselves also have to join in. But keeping up with the relentless pace is anything but easy. Refusing to take part is simply not an option. And even as night falls, there's no end in sight. Eventually, peace and quiet does return to this remote spot, and encourages other creatures to come out. A two-toed sloth. It may look uncomfortable, but this bizarre upside-down pose is a sloth's preferred position in the tree. Its formidable claws act like hooks on the branch. dawn. The filmmakers have no time to lose. The way ahead is long and undoubtedly tough. They have a rendezvous a few kilometers away, back at the river. But the closer they get to the river, the worse the road becomes. The rough dirt track turns into a veritable quagmire. The car sinks ever deeper into the mud. Then they can go neither forwards nor backwards. The four-wheel drive is truly stuck.
The clamps on this, then you put this underneath and then they go over, right?
The sand ladder is supposed to provide grip for the wheels. Progress is slow, a meter at a time.
Okay, go forward.
But the car's weight pushes it far into the mud. Eventually, it's stuck fast. The track is so deep that the car is resting on the ground. Rainer is already covered in mud from head to toe. He makes a last attempt to dig it out. Young has somehow managed to stay clean and takes care of less messy jobs. The branches are now to provide grip for the wheels. But the hole is deep, too deep. The only thing left to try is a cable winch. As long as there's a strong enough tree within reach. After all, it has to pull out a 3.5-ton off-roader. Success. They're back on the road and continue to their meeting. In Guyana, what's ambitiously called a boat landing is in fact just a suitable bit of riverbank for loading boats. From here, the expedition will travel by boat to the Essequibo itself. But first, they have to find enough space on the narrow boats for all their equipment, their provisions, and themselves. The boats may look small, but each one can carry a whole ton in weight. The onward journey will be anything but comfortable. The next leg alone will take 10 hours. At least there is plenty of wildlife to keep them busy along the way. Sandbanks have emerged from the river during the dry season. Ideal meeting points for skimmers, sociable birds that fish for small prey on the wing. Their 1-meter wingspan allows them to glide gracefully just above the water surface. Watching them is an unexpected treat for the crew. But the team also has to keep a careful eye on sudden shallows and sandbanks. Getting distracted could spell disaster. As long as the dry season continues and water levels fall, the river changes every day. The newly exposed sandbanks are also a magnet for countless butterflies. They flock here to suck up minerals that have dissolved in the wet. Several hours into their journey, the crew spot their first black caiman. It's out basking in the sun to warm up. It seeks cover in the water. Humans are best avoided. At this time of year, when the rivers carry less water, the females begin to lay their eggs. A nest scratched together from leaves and twigs will harbor her eggs until they're ready to hatch. There are probably around 40 eggs in a nest. And unusually for reptiles, the caiman mother stays nearby while her young develop in their eggs. She'll hunt rarely and little for the time being. Caiman are adept at fasting. They can go without a bite for weeks at a time. This female looks imposing with her 4.5 meters, but the biggest black caimans are reputed to have reached a whopping 7 meters. Today, giants like that are unheard of. The black caiman mother oozes the confidence that comes with a killer her size. And you wouldn't want to be on her menu. For a few days during their molt, Muscovy ducks aren't able to fly properly. And the experienced caiman mother seems to know that. She specifically targets a molting duck. It's no contest. The egret, on the other hand, shows no real fear of the hunter. It's as if it knows when a caiman is hungry and looking for a meal. Caimans are common in Guyana, and in many places they live right next to people. Like in Apotheri, where the Rupununi River joins the waters of the Essequibo. The river is at the center of daily life here. It serves as a washing machine, a bathtub, and a playground, all at once. But the caiman's presence is no problem, as long as it's light. The kids can play worry-free during the day. But when darkness falls, everything changes. Now the river belongs to the black caiman. The filmmakers have made their camp just outside Apotheri. Now, in the dry season, hammocks and a fire for the night are more than enough to be comfortable. Young has grown up on the river and knows exactly how to get dinner. Fresh fish is always welcome. This time it's a lukunani, a peacock bass. While Young prepares the fish, Rainer fashions the cooking utensils. A thin stick will serve as a giant skewer. It's hard to imagine a simpler meal or one more delicious. They're ready for the night. As soon as the sun sends its first rays over the horizon, the cameramen are up. They've brought a microlight to explore and film the area upriver. It's a Superlight two-seater, but stable enough to carry a camera. Rainer takes control of the camera. Young controls the aircraft. To add stability, this microlight is designed as a trike, able to fly very slowly at just 60 kilometers an hour and can land on rough terrain. Since it can also fly very low, it's ideal for explorative flights and film work. From above, everything takes on a new dimension. Sandbanks in the Essequibo divide the river. And from the air, it's easy to see how the white waters of the Rupununi mix and mingle with the black waters of the Essequibo. Numerous oxbow lakes show the course the river once took, before it changed direction and found a new path. These former river meanders are now important habitats for plants and animals. Their ample fish stocks attract delicate kingfishers as well as imposing fish eagles. Giant Amazon water lilies cover large parts of the surface, even though it's unusual for them to occur this far north of the Amazon River. A Muscovy duck encourages her chicks to leave the nest. They must have hatched recently. But already the chicks are ready to leave the safety of their nest hollow. These ducks are able to breed up to 3 times a year. And every time the chicks leave their nests with a brave jump into the unknown. Once they've all landed, they follow their mother to the lake. There can be up to 22 of them in a single clutch. The chicks are able to swim from the word go and follow their mother on their first foraging trip. A tapir picks its way along the riverbank. This is the biggest mammal of the neotropics, and it likes to stay close to the water. This is where it can find plenty of plants to sustain it. Its trunk-like nose is incredibly muscular, and so dexterous it can even pick up leaves with it. The oxbow lakes also make perfect black caiman nurseries. 2 months after the eggs were laid, the babies begin to communicate while still inside their eggs. That's how they coordinate their hatching time. The mother has stayed close throughout, ready to defend her babies from unwanted intruders. She may even help them break out of the nest. And she'll even delicately carry them in her grim jaws. Incredibly, baby caimans don't have to fear their older and larger relatives. On the contrary. In the first few weeks, the hatchlings stay closely huddled together, finding safety in numbers. And there's another surprise. All adult caiman are prepared to defend their young, whether or not they're their own offspring. And in the depths of the rainforest, the youngsters need all the protection they can get. Giant otters are just one of their many enemies. The otters stick together in family groups, are fast and agile swimmers, and excellent hunters. In the main, they feed on fish. But a young caiman would be equally welcome. Their sharp teeth and strong paws can make short work of even these toothy babies. Of course, they have to get past the adult caiman on guard duty first. The little caiman test their abilities in what seems to be playful fights. They're perfect miniature replicas of their parents as soon as they hatch. Killers through and through. Of course, initially they pick on prey their own size. Insects, snails, and small fish are all they can deal with. But their killer instinct is there from the get-go. The youngsters are fairly self-sufficient from the start, but this drive to be independent doesn't come without a price. Only a minority will make it through their first year, despite their needle-like teeth and bad attitude. The expedition has to move on. They want to push further upriver, and eventually all the way to the mighty river's source. This far from human habitation, capybaras are anything but shy and explore the riverbank in full view. Most of their days are spent here in the wet. They're able to live to the ripe old age of 10 years, if they've not become someone else's meal by then. Caimans can sense even the smallest movements from far away. Diving is not the way to make your getaway here. The noise of the hunt lures other caimans into the water. Caimans can neither bite nor chew. They have a different solution. Everyone grabs a piece of the victim before spinning on the spot. The much-feared death roll. The prey is literally torn to pieces. The river's water levels have dropped several meters and exposed the sandy riverbanks. Now, 47 days after their eggs were laid, young Arrow River turtles are ready to hatch. It's thought they begin to call while they're still inside their eggs. As they emerge from the nest, they have to run a gauntlet. Instinctively, they head for the water. Greater numbers are always preferable. It gives them the best chance to escape hungry predators on their way to the river. Upriver, dreaded rapids await the team. It takes all the experience of the boat crews to get them through unscathed. But the most direct route is not always an option. Now it means unloading the boats and carrying everything to get past the whitewater. In this current, a wrong move could be lethal. Even the boats have to be carried over land. It takes more than 6 hours to carry all the equipment and the boats beyond the rapids. It's a sign of things to come. And an Indian brandishing his bow and arrows to go fishing is anything but a welcome sight for the expedition members. He's hunting pacus, a fish at home in whitewater and river rapids. And where there are pacus, boats are usually no longer able to get ahead. Pursuing this route to the source would take weeks, if not months. Their worst fears come true. This stretch of rapids lines over 5 kilometers of the river, and it's followed by others. They're insurmountable. The team have to make a tough decision. They have to go back and find another way through. Further south, they might be able to join a sidearm of the Essequibo that will guide them back to the big river and its unknown source. Instead of facing the tough rapids, the filmmakers drive to Lethem and from there onwards to the Cuyuwini. They know that this river joins the Essequibo further south. Their journey takes them back through the Rupununi savanna and its mosaic of forests, grassland, and swamps. The savanna regularly changes its looks during the course of a year. With the onset of the rains, the first drops are greedily sucked into the ground. But soon it's saturated and the lakes begin to fill. The savannah quickly turns back into a huge swampland with extensive open water. Water hyacinths take over. They can double their area in just 2 weeks. They create mini hunting grounds for birds. Small fish, insects, and other prey hide amongst the leaves. The rainy season turns the savannah into a paradise for waterfowl. The shallow waters harbor plenty of food for them. Wood storks stake their claim to the watery riches: frogs, fish, and large insects. There's plenty for everyone. 2-meter-long spectacled caimans are no deterrent to these feathery assassins. Capybaras also make the most of the newfound wet. They're the largest rodents on Earth and live together in family groups. While one of them is on the lookout, the other feeds. Their name means something like master of the grasses. They're close relatives of the guinea pig, but these large furry creatures always need lakes, rivers, and swamps nearby. They spend much of their time in the water and are excellent swimmers. Bizarrely, capybaras are unable to produce their own vitamin C. Unlike most other vertebrates, they have to find it in their food. At dawn, the team pushes on towards the south. The rainy season has brought new challenges with it. In some places, the entire road has become submerged. Their plan is to find more support for the expedition in Lethem. But in Lethem, there's a surprise for them. It's the Easter Rodeo here, in the far south of Guyana. An incredible spectacle. The fight between man and beast. For many locals, the epitome of masculinity. The cattle all come from the surrounding ranches. This is the social event of the year. Even the Guyanese president makes an appearance. He's heard all about the daring expedition to locate the mythical source of the mighty Essequibo and wishes them luck. Dwayne de Freitas is one of the organizers, and he's the reason for their stopover at the rodeo. Nobody knows the Essequibo better than him. He's agreed to join their team. But first, they have to capture the rodeo on camera. The competition begins. The aim is to stay on the horse for as long as possible. It sounds easy enough. But the animals are single-minded about ridding themselves of rider and saddle. The pace is ferocious. Finally, it's time for the bulls. They make the horses seem like child's play. The color of his shirt identifies the rider's ranch. This is by far the most dangerous discipline of the rodeo. Of course, the angrier the bull, the better the show. But also the higher the risk for its rider. Luckily, there are only minor injuries today. From the rodeo, the crew travel on to Daranawa, the biggest ranch in Guyana and home to Dwayne de Freitas. His land stretches as far as the eye can see in every direction. His cattle are mainly left to their own devices on this huge area. And they're fully integrated into the local wildlife. An anteater feels at home right amongst them. Almost blind, it relies on its excellent nose to guide it. As an insectivore, it has no teeth at all, but licks up its prey with its 60-centimeter long sticky tongue. There's no hiding from it. Anteaters can devour more than 30,000 insects a day. There are plenty of termites here. Some of their impressive mounds even reach man height. Their surfaces are tough and weatherproof, but inside the nest is air-conditioned. The temperature is constant no matter what the weather is like outside. But other than thousands of termites, the mounds are also home to some uninvited guests. Sometimes it's other insects like ants or beetles. And sometimes larger animals, like armadillos. They often dig their burrows below a fortified termite mound. This is where they spend the day. Their hearing and sense of smell are far more acute than their eyes. In fact, they're almost blind. Their burrows often boast several entrances and exits. Sometimes members of the same family share a home. Up to 90% of its time is spent looking for food, guided by its incredible nose. It's looking for beetles, grubs, small vertebrates, but also fruit and carrion. But at the slightest sign of danger, the armadillo runs for the safety of home. They often maintain up to 8 bolt holes in their territory. And when the sun rises on the horizon, the armadillo is already back in its burrow. Before the expedition can once again get on its way, Dwayne de Freitas wants to ensure everything is just as it should be on his ranch. It's roundup time on Daranawa. He'll be gone for several weeks, and a stocktake of his cattle is imperative. Around 40 people work on the ranch looking after over 5,000 animals. It's a tough job. but an incredible chance to get a real insight into the workings of a ranch. Most of the vaqueros, the cowboys, are Wapishana Indians. And on Dadanawa, even the workhorses are homebred. They're small, tough horses that need only small amounts of food. Their ancestors came here with the Spanish conquistadors. But there's a drawback to life on the wild expanses of the savannah. There are big cats here. Cattle are easy prey to them. Dwayne has had word that a jaguar has made a kill.
Yeah, you can see where the jaguar got it. They tried to get it from the back first, probably got on. You see scratches on the back there. Got onto the head, bit it in the nose, scratched it up here. 2 puncture marks right here. These are probably what killed it, gone into the animal. The jaguars around here been killing animals like this. I don't know. Normally they kill them by biting them in the back of the head, puncture and get up on the back of the animal and kill it. But for the last couple of years, I noticed animals been dying. I mean, catching them on the nose and crushing it, like suffocating them, no? Breaking the bones up. Real powerful jaws. But you could use the meat, but I can leave it and put a trap camera over there and see if the jaguars come back.
This time he wants to capture the killer on camera. The dead cow will remain as bait for his camera trap, designed to be triggered by movement. Dwayne's instincts were right. The big cat makes a return under cover of darkness. It's a female. But she's not alone. She has a cub with her. Capturing the jaguar on camera is a rare treat. Rainer and Young want to find out more about her. They're on their way to a cavern that Dwayne thinks might be the killer's hideout. They deliberately make a noisy approach. They want to warn the jaguar that they're coming to avoid a surprise encounter. Hidden between the big boulders are caves and hollows. This is where Dwayne managed to film a jaguar using a camera trap only recently. Young and Rainer have arrived.
What do you think? Should we go in?
Yeah, you have to first. If it was in, then it would have already come out with all the noise you make.
Yeah, it was noise. You first on me.
You take chance.
Okay.
You watch your back.
Entering the cave takes a little courage. A meeting with a jaguar could end badly. Rainer squeezes through the small entrance. Inside, there's an overpowering stench. Excretions smear the cave's walls and floor. But they're not the jaguars.
In the background a little bit.
Bats huddle together in a rock crevice. They're bothered by the strong light. They're vampire bats, the only mammals that live entirely off blood. They're feared as rabies carriers in South America. Around 100 bats live together in this group. They're social animals. Grooming and sharing food are part of their behavior. Rainer wants to see if there are also other species among them, but this cave seems to belong to the vampires alone.
Only bats at the moment.
As exciting as a jaguar sighting can be, the crew has to push on if they're to make it to their final destination. The team is enriched by the arrival of Burley, hired by Dwayne as the expedition cook. She's accompanied him on lengthy expeditions on the river before. Her experience is invaluable. There's no chance on stocking up on supplies where they're headed. They have to bring absolutely everything along with them. Enough food for several weeks, equipment, and fuel for the boat engines. 20 canisters should suffice to last the journey. The team has now grown to 14 people, all of whom have to be fed and watered for several weeks. A logistical nightmare. This is where Burley's experience will prove invaluable. At this point, the team splits up. Marion flies back to the city to collect a German remote sensing specialist who will join the team. The others leave before dawn. Their next stop, the Kuyuwini River, that should take them back to the Essequibo beyond the treacherous rapids.